Greetings and salutations. I hope everyone is doing well today. Welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you may know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. These audiobooks, well, they're available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things, they really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? So for a couple of years now, I have said that I've been sitting on information and that I am hesitant to share because of, I don't know, blowback and whatnot. I was really worried about how people would take the information, or if I would look like I was, really adding an extra layer of tinfoil to my hat. And I had made a decision of, you know what, I don't care anymore. I've been sitting on this information for a long time, and it's time to start talking about it. It's time to start talking about my beliefs of the deep underground facilities, where they are, and whatnot. And the other day I talked about how there was a relationship between the reptilian, the Nazi government, the American government, and how all parties involved, except the reptilian/alien party, or reptilian/demon/alien party, lost out of those deals. They did not lose. They were the only ones to gain anything. They may have given each party a small piece of technology, but what did they gain in return? The control of humanity. The ability to abduct and experiment upon humans without any blowback from the American government. And it's been going on far too long. I shared an experience. Kirk from Mount Shasta, 1996. And he had been up there camping, had been abducted, brought into a secret facility, witnessed atrocities there, witnessed holding cells there, was accompanied by a gray-like alien, which I believe as well are demonic. And when I say reptilian, I probably shouldn't even, I think the best way to say it would be like demonic, reptilian, alien. Because I truly believe that these species of aliens are demons. I mean, they use portals. They come from different places that we would view as hell. They perform atrocities upon people, and they don't really care. And they walk among us. They walk among us disguised. You know, it's not like That Roddy Piper movie where he puts on the sunglasses and can see everyone. They are more complex than we could even believe. And they are cloning humanity to essentially live among us and learn more. And I wanted to share some of this information with you because it's quite interesting. And, like I said, I, for the longest time, felt like if I had shared this information, people would just kind of, you're a Dogman channel, you're a paranormal channel. This has nothing to do with paranormal. But I really believe that by sharing my theory, the connections, and that's what the upload about the other day was, the connections, Skinwalker at the Pentagon is a perfect example of the connection. You have almost this triangular connection. It starts at the very top and goes right to the bottom. Luciferian agenda. Luciferian/alien agenda. And then it just proceeds, And with Axelrod, or Matson would be Axelrod would be a pseudonym. With him going to Skinwalker Ranch, and they believe that he brought a hitchhiker. He may have, but I believe it was something much, much more sinister than just an accompaniment. I believe that what he brought with him was just a key for the doorway to be open wherever he landed, where his family was. And here's the thing. After that upload, I was like, because I talked about these energy vampires. And, he goes to Skinwalker Ranch after investigating Nimitz Tic Tacs, the UFOs that outperformed our greatest pilots, our greatest military pilots. He goes to Skinwalker Ranch, comes home, goes back home to his family. His family then experiences Dogmen, orbs, shadow people, and phantom footsteps. Things that a long time ago, less than 10 years ago, people would say, shadow figures and Dogmen, there is no connection. Orbs and Dogmen and Bigfoot, there's always been a connection. Ronald Murphy Jr., Dogman Bigfoot researcher, he talked about the orbs and the connections. He had gone out on a midnight hike and proceeded to be stalked by a Dogman, but what he saw was all of these orbs. And the way he perceived it is, yes, some were leading him, but others were pushing him away from that evil. So all of that is connected. And I really think that is a necessary thing to understand, is that connection. And then we can look at the alien agenda, demonic creatures walking among us, unbeknownst to us. So this is how they live amongst humans. And there is humans that help these creatures. Ties to the Illuminati. The Illuminati is a tool for the Luciferian agenda, for these demonic, alien, reptilian creatures. The Illuminati is just a tool. A bunch of greedy people saying, give us what we can. What can we get from you if we give you something? What can you give us? They don't care about anything other than themselves. This 13 family society of the uber rich. They could care less about you or I or anything else except themselves. And then even they would even backstab each other. Just to, what can you give us to these Luciferian creatures? You know, look at how well I have done for you as a tool. What can you give me now? Is essentially how they look. And they help these creatures live amongst us. So we'll start it like this. Actors, clones, doubles can be taken over by these lizard reptilian parasites, which is the method of shape-shifting opposed to what we have been traditionally conditioned to believe. These creatures can inject their proboscis into a human eye in a droning process known as a body snatching, where these lizard-like parasites take over the human brain and abandons its reptilian body. When it injects its proboscis, a thick cerebrospinal fluid is injected into the human eye socket, which goes to the brain, where the chemical transformation immediately begins to occur. The thick cerebrospinal fluid that is injected into the human eye socket is believed to be carrying a reptilian parasite similar to like a nematode worm parasite found in the French Pyrenees wall lizard embryo brain. It is believed the soul gets fully consumed by these reptilian parasites within 2 weeks. The victim essentially dies, leaving this reptilian parasite in complete control of the brain functions. This process, the droning process, is also an Illuminati ritual, symbiotic to the all-seeing eye, or symbolic to the all-seeing eye, known as soul sculpting. And many elites have been caught over time with excuses to defend these bruises around their eyes. And they are known as the members of the Black-Eyed Club now. Now, I'm not meaning like black-eyed kids. I'm talking they actually get a black eye. And there is numerous pictures of certain actors and certain politicians, John Kerry, Stephen Buscemi, Richard Branson, Junior Bush, Robert Downey Jr., Simon Cowell. The Pope has, 2 of the popes have been known to have black eyes. And keep going. The guy from the Notebook movie, Brittany Murphy and her husband. And, this is not a made up thing. There are actual pictures of these people with black eyes. And that is from this droning process. And it is how they use humans to live among us and not be missed. So essentially, there is these creatures are so demonic, they can physically attack a soul. Something that humanity has long been fascinated with like, you see these pictures, or you've heard the stories where the guy had passed away on the hospital bed, and for some reason there had to have been a picture for an autopsy or something, and there is some sort of light exuding from his body, and that is believed to be the soul. I do believe that. And so it would only be not a monster, but it would only be demonic creatures that could attack a soul. A soul is given to us by God. So nothing else except a demon would be able to attack that, And then once it like it said, once these parasitic, these reptilian parasites feed on this, our soul, they then use our empty body as this vessel, this host vessel, and there is nothing left of that person. They are a drone. To prevent the physical breakdown of the body, because once our soul is gone, what is essentially, it is a dead vessel. Like we'd essentially rot, you know, like our soul is gone. There's no. So to prevent the physical breakdown of our body, the reptilian creature then needs to ingest regular amounts of stem celled rich blood, best found within the young and / babies. This maybe explains why businesses like the lucrative Planned Parenthood, there's supposedly a tie to that. I believe this. It took a long time for me to believe this. It took a lot of looking into it and sitting back and saying, you know, this is all connected. You know, there is a biblical and connection that is far more twisted. I never wanted to believe how scary this is. You know, this is stuff that the greatest horror authors in the world couldn't even touch. They then, they will settle for adrenochrome to tie itself over when its preferred choice is not readily available. These then creatures are considered vampiric and can get very old, but then will eventually need to migrate to a new host body. This way they can live on forever. And there has been scientific studies of these little bat-like lizard creatures that almost look, well, I will include a picture. I will include a picture of what these creatures look like midway, because there was actually a supposed, and I'm saying supposed because I wasn't there. I haven't had a chance to physically look at it, nor will I ever. But a dead alien found in the desert near Roswell in the 40s and found by a prospector. And that prospector was never seen again. Actually, what I'll do is I will share one of those, a set of these photos right now for you guys, and then we'll move on from there because there's so much more. But I figured instead of just mentioning the photos and then putting them at the end of the video, let's share it right now and then jump back into more information. So these are the photos that I was talking about. The first set you'll see is the reptilian parasitic creature. These photos were shared on a Eyewitness News 4, KOB News 4, and they look very aquatic almost to me. And essentially they would have to be parasitic and to breathe and thrive in that kind of fluid. And then the next group of pics that you will see is the Black-Eyed Club, how these reptilian creatures use their proboscis to enter human bodies, and eventually the little strange looking, almost prehistoric looking creatures. And that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. There is Anunnaki and Sumerian texts talk about a race of dinosaur that actually, during the extinction era of the dinosaur, had gone underground and thrived. And, you know, for these things to look, these parasitic reptilian to look prehistoric makes sense to me. And then what you are going to see now, right after these videos are done, or these clips or photos, this is a video clip believed to be a military alliance, white hat military alliance, fighting what was supposed to be one of these creatures. You can see it in the very beginning, walk across the screen, is believed somewhere in Afghanistan. And at the beginning of the clip, you see one of the soldiers hold up what seems to be some sort of baby or whatnot to lure the creature in, possibly. The potential underground component of this warfare is exactly why the United States Army trains its personnel in subterranean operations, or ATP 312 or 321.51. All of this really ties into a lot of what I talked about the other day in the other day's upload. But here's that video clip. And it is very interesting. Now, going even further, that video clip right there is a interview done in 2013 where on RT News, Roseanne Barr was canceled after going on the news and calling out the arrest for certain Saudi and other Middle Eastern prince and a few other. And after making the statement, what she said was so insane that nobody paid attention to it. And then she was essentially canceled. 2013, she makes this statement about, the arrest of, or at least look at, these certain people who could have ties to 9/11 and whatnot. And the statement after which was, I will probably be assassinated or droned when I'm out of here, in a reference to the disclosures she was talking about in that interview about the controllers of Earth, the Ashkenazi, Khazarian, using MK Ultra to control humanity. This is one of the very few rare confirmations of this reptilian parasite soul sculpting droning ritual, aka the Black Eyed Club, being even talked about. Now, if you're not familiar or you didn't catch the upload that I had talked about in the very beginning of this upload, on Monday, I talked about a naval whistleblower, United States naval whistleblower, William Tompkins, And he talks about it was the draconian reptilian alien that initially supplied the Nazis with all sorts of advanced futuristic technology. This includes UFO/UAP, spacecraft particle beam weapons, biotech and genetic research, human cloning technology, age regeneration. Tompkins was commissioned by the United States Navy as a disseminator of aircraft research and information, as demonstrated by his U.S. Naval Air Station statement on mission tasks and objectives. And he just blew the whistle on a lot of really incredible stuff that we now know happened, and even though there is evidence of it, there is still those people out there that will say, if you believe this, you are a conspirator. You are a conspiracy therapist or theorist and this and that. No, I am not making a theory up on this. This is a conspiracy truth. The government information is there to view yourself. Tompkins revealed how these reptilian consultants not only helped the Nazi Party, but the United States, giving us better technology and better weapons. Because what did we give them? We gave them permission to abduct and then experiment on human Americans, not just humans, Americans. Give us the weapons, and it's kind of, and you can watch the timeline in World War II, prior to the United States entry. The Nazi regime, was just a dominant power. No other country. And then America steps in. They were still a dominant power. A year goes by, and all of a sudden, very slowly, did the tide turn. And then once it did start to turn, you saw the new technology unravel, and then the end of the war with the drop of 2 nuclear weapons. And at that point, we know who got the better technology. There's a reason why the regime and Hitler were obsessed with the occult, because they tried to better understand who they were getting, making these deals with. You cannot understand these creatures. You could probably sit for an entire lifespan and read everything you want about these creatures and still not know exactly who they are. You have a good idea, but you're not gonna have so that statement where Roseanne had said, after making these accusations, she said the Ashkenazi Khazarian would probably take her out using MK Ultra. And then the statement right here is just mind-blowing, is where the evidence came out that not only was, True Nature, right here, an important connection to notice here is that the society, the Vril Society, essentially gave birth to the Nazi Party. The Vril Society was one of He was most influential of the occultist group in post-World War I Germany. Many of the German society elites were members of this Vril. Vril just means light force, and Lucifer is known as the light bearer to secret societies. Like the Illuminati, the true nature of Nazism is being concealed and should really be defined as the Rothschildism, especially considering that Hitler himself was an Ashkenazi Khazarian Rothschild pushing blatant eugenics in the Nazi world order. So not New World Order, NWO, but Nazi World Order, NWO. Prior to, once they got extinguished and pushed down, boop, then it became New World Order. So, I mean, they have been pulling the strings for quite some time. And then we talk about how TV shows and movies are like a soft disclosure. Like Descent. The Descent. Soft disclosure for crawlers. 100%. I know some people are going to be like, what's that? That werewolf movie, the World War II. Dog Soldiers. People are Dog Soldiers. That's more fiction, I'd say. I mean, I don't think that is a soft disclosure. I think it's more of a fictional thing. But Descent would truly be a soft disclosure. There are other movies that are very similar to The Descent along the lines, not the category or categorization of these crawler-like creatures, but so 2013 film The Host, written by Andrew Niccol and Stephanie Meyer, produced by Nick Walsher Productions. It showcased the human race getting hijacked by extraterrestrial parasites known as souls. The souls inserted themselves into a host body and completely replaced the consciousness of the host, however, retaining access to the host's memories. Once the host body was occupied by the ET soul, they developed identifiable silver rings in their eyes. This is an eerie similar to the Virilian reptile parasite soul sculpting droning ritual, as it is also takes over the consciousness of the host body. Instead of a silver ring remaining in the eye, it leaves severe bruising around the eye socket known as the black-eyed club. The Strain, the movie or TV show The Strain, presented a parasitic insectoid virus that entered the human eye and morphed the human into a cannibalistic vampire. Shocking similarities to the reptilian parasite injecting a proboscis with a thick cerebral spinal fluid into the eye socket to consume the soul and engage in blood quenching. And, there's just multiple other weird little similarities. Bodysuits. That term bodysuit. I've always kind of found that interesting, And I remember when I first got this flash drive, I've talked about this flash drive for 4 years since I've had it. And I started to read it. And a lot of it is like, I can't even share this. This is too much. Like, too insane, too intense for me. I read it and I believe it. But it was like, do I want to share this? Like, how will I be viewed? And then I realized, like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Just get the information out. Let everybody else decide. You just share the information. You're just sharing this and letting people decide on their own. Another way of them walking among us is essentially wearing our skin, clones and doubles. Obvious people are merely placeholders in public. We've woken up to enough full disclosure and declassification of the original disguising crimes against humanity. We have to consider that any of the following could be actor clones, CGI, deepfakes, doubles, holographic, reptoids, hiding in plain sight. Few examples: latex, silicone, hyperflesh, skin masks, skin suits, and that are on actors or doubles wearing the exact, our exact replica of it. CIA has former CIA chief of disguise, Jana Menendez, explains how she oversaw equipment used by spies to conceal their identities, including custom-made 5-second masks inspired by Hollywood. The technology was developed over a 10-year period of time, allowed for full facial movement functionality, blinking and speaking, could be applied and removed in moments' notice, and were specifically designed to be able to be hidden in an armpit or in a small location. Unlike its cinematic counterparts, these hyperflesh or latex silicone skin masks do not require hours of makeup to apply. Professional grade hyperflesh latex silicone skin masks cost $500. These cinematic ones, these other ones that are created by, not by us, but we are given that technology. The CIA has it. So who do you think gave them that technology? Only one group of, not people, but alien/demonic creatures. She explains how, using this can technically save these actors' lives, the CIA actors' lives. But then you have proof of this occurring. People often say, well, here's a perfect example. Here's a perfect example of it. One is where Joe Biden had, I think he had tripped up, or he might have stumbled, but he was standing next to his wife, Jill. And everyone's like, no, he didn't trip up. He had come out. It was at nighttime. And everyone's like, whoa, he is way taller. He is so much more different than what he normally looks like. She's tall. There's something wrong with this. And you have there's been a chance of Elon has had a couple of times on interviews where things didn't look right. Bill Gates, Trudeau, if you look at a picture of Trudeau back in 2020 to 2022, completely different person from 2020 to 2022. And some would say, oh, well, it's the beard, he's got a beard now. No, there is a huge difference in appearance. And it really is evident, the Soros, there's been photos of Soros, Zuckerberg, Elon. Essentially, if you look at Elon, and people are be like, oh, well, that's the money he has. He's done this and done that. Yeah, you can do a lot with money to change the way you look, but there are certain things that you cannot do. You've completely done a complete overhaul. There's one video where I believe it was in 2022 where he's at the FIFA World Cup and he could be observed as clearly he's wearing some sort of latex silicone hyperflesh skin mask because you can see it connects. There's like a connection around his neck area. It doesn't look real. It just doesn't even appear to be real. And multiple interviews like that, so this is just a little bit of the evidence, just a smidge of that evidence. So now that we touched on the evil, the bad, the demon, the demonic part, right? There's always good. There's always good and evil. There's always bad and good, God and the devil, There's got to be one or some sort of good out of these creatures, dimensional. And could that be like the Arcturian? Now, Arcturian is ruled by what they call the Elders, an 11th dimensional Arcturian group known as the Arcturian Oversoul. Arcturian respect them for their advanced knowledge of the wisdom and for extremely high and refined vibrational energies they manifest. That energy, that vibrational energy, is what these parasitic demon creatures, these kind of inorganic beings feed off of. Some say they have wings. Some say these Arcturian have wings, but some describe them as more as circles of light. The higher vibration frequency, the closer it is to light, spirit, or God, including Arcturian beliefs. All Arcturian are identical in appearance and are proud of it because they have eliminated the tendencies of comparison and jealousy so present in human society on Earth. The Arcturians are the most loving and non-judgmental creatures that can be found among the star race of this galaxy. So could these be angels? Could these be the angels that we talk about? Like I said, there's always... Demons wouldn't all look alike. They'd be hideous creatures, just these monstrosity, deformed creatures. But an angel would very, very likely be similar. Light, beauty, goodness. In terms of appearance, dimensional Arcturians are supposedly shorter in physical stature, about 4 feet in height, slender. Their skin is a light shade of palish greenish blue. They only have 3 fingers. They have the ability to move objects with their mind, telekinesis, and are completely telepathic. Their eyes are very large and almond, dark brown or black, but their eyesight is mostly the proportion of telepathic abilities and subtle vision, not with a physical sight. Their hearing is highly developed, even surpassing their telepathic abilities. And they have the ability to feel even with the back of their head. They usually live around 350 to 400 years and do not eat, but feed on the effervescent liquid that is vitalizing properties for the entire body. Spiritual progress allows them never to age, and they can also travel beyond time and space. So here's something that the physical description of these creatures. Now, not all angels looked like Michael or Gabriel, or, there were these seraphim. Seraphim were very, very strange looking. And there's different descriptions of them in different religious text. definitely not like we would picture an angel to look like. So maybe that's what these are. I'm not sure, but by the descriptions of them, these are the opposite of the Draco, the Reptilian, the Vril Society. The Arcturians belong to a group mentally that they call Arcturian Collective. However, they do not function as a hive mind, since each Arcturian has its own personality and can act very individually and independently. They are highly analytical, but their analyses are fully integrated with the highest degree of intuition and emotionally enlightened love. This emotional and spiritual healing is the reason why many psychospiritual healers have a special connection to these. The Arcturian are very gifted healers, but differ in their techniques from the Andromeda doctors. The Arcturian collaborate frequently with Syrians. Together, they created what could be called the Arcturian Syrian matrix or network. Some sources say they may have some base on the moon or on Mars. The Arcturian races are very primitive by nature and engage in earthly affairs only for very specific reasons. They can be very silent and can and will keep a great deal to themselves. It is known, however, that in ancient times they intervened to help resolve very serious conflicts in our area of the universe, sharing their unique ability to show others how to integrate their belief system and feelings to resolve the conflict. Many souls are transferred to Arcturian spacecraft in a dream state, in which they work to receive help. Although the Arcturians will never attack human free will, unlike extraterrestrial, who will, such as the Greys, the Arcturian are here to help people enter the fourth and fifth dimensions of reality and raise their vibrational frequencies. They stated as the guardians and protectors of the higher conscious in the universe. As a group, they did a lot to raise the general level of consciousness in our universe. So, I mean, could this be the good half of it? I don't know. I'm just sharing information that was shared with me. And to me, all of this is just more evidence of the connection. The Luciferian agenda. If there is a Luciferian agenda, there has to be a godlike agenda. You know, we all know that. If there's good, there's bad, and if there's bad, there's good. And that's just how it is. You know, I know some people say, well, there's an in-between. Well, no, anyway, I don't know. So there you have it. There is today's upload. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. A little different than what we normally... Not really a little different. Not really at all. Maybe a little bit, but it still is every bit of what we talk about on this channel. The unknown, the high strangeness, you know. So I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant. Keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.